Hey guys, it's ANicWin, also known as Amy, and happy Monday. I hope you're having a lovely day. This is a contemporary style build in Newcrest, and I actually decided to go with this style of build because I was wanting to kind of play around with platform pieces on the exterior of builds. Now that's not a new building style technique, whatever you want to call it, but it's new to me. I don't really use it. I might have used it when platforms first came out. I can't recall now, just because it's not something that I do regularly. My builds don't usually include those kind of elements just because I don't build this style a whole lot. But I decided to kind of play with it just to see what it looks like, what it can do. And this is nothing like extraordinary or anything like that, but it was kind of fun to see. And I also use this technique, although it's a different style of home, in a video that you're going to see next week as well, which coincidentally is why we're building in Newcrest rather than Oasis Springs. So in my head, contemporary builds fit really, really well in Oasis Springs. Like, that world is practically made for them. That's not canon, that's just an arbitrary rule that I made in my head to make things make sense. And I didn't want two videos back to back being in the same world. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's not something I typically do. I like to bounce around a lot. If you've been watching, not that you have to, but if you have, you've probably noticed that I am a person that kind of like ping pongs back and forth between things. I'm like that in real life too. I'll go back and forth between different things that I enjoy while also engaging in the same activity. That makes sense. Like, okay, that doesn't make sense because my brain, but like music, like I have a handful of artists that I love, and I will go through periods where I'll listen to like every album they've ever made for like a week, and then the next week it's a new artist. So I'm still listening to music, which is something I do pretty much all day, every day, but the genres change, the artists change, and not like on shuffle. I don't know. We're gonna move on because I can't explain myself to myself, so it's just getting muddy. Anywho, this is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. There's also a home office that if you just change the door, because I put an archway instead of a door, if you just change it out, you could easily make that a 3rd bedroom if you needed the space. I only needed the 2 bedrooms because I'm imagining this home for a 3-sim household. I was going to say a couple and their child. So I'm imagining, it's been a while since I've had an actual storyline for my Sims, so it's nice to kind of have that force kind of driving my creativity a little bit. But I'm imagining a couple. I am picturing them both to be female, but that's just the storyline in my head. Obviously, you can have whoever you would like living in this space, but I'm picturing a same-sex couple, and they've been together for a while, and they have a child. Now, I'm thinking that one of them carried the baby using the other one's egg. However, it really doesn't matter how you play that out. The child could be adopted. It could be the same carrier as their egg, or whatever scenario or combination of that you want to use is perfectly fine. That's just what I was imagining, and I'm thinking that the child is somewhere between the ages of 6 and 8, so they're a genuine, like, proper child. They're not preteen or anything like that. And the parents, one of them is a teacher. I'm thinking a college professor, but it could also be maybe like a secondary teacher, like high school, something like that. And then the other one is like a game developer, so a professional gamer basically, but not a streamer. They're not streaming their games, they're kind of building them, maybe playtesting them at home, stuff like that, creating the concepts, design, I don't know, something. They're in that field for sure. So they do share the office. I swallowed if that was really loud, I'm sorry, but they do share the office space, but I don't completely trick out the office because I don't think they work from home. I think both of them are primarily in-office people, and then when they come home, they want to be emotionally present for their child, so they try to limit or minimize the amount of work they're doing at home so that they can kind of focus all of their time on being a family and her development. And I am picturing the child as a girl, by the way, but they're picturing, they're fostering that environment for healthy development. Not that parents who work from home don't have healthy kids. That's not what I'm saying at all. We're not going to go into theory here, but yeah, that was my thought process, at least. So you saw the exterior come together. You'll notice there's a little bit of a boho vibe on the front porch there. I love that chair. I love that chair as an outdoor chair, and I would love one on my own porch if I had one. I do not. I'm living in one of those neighborhoods that has the stereotypical like starter home vibe. Like every house on the street in this neighborhood really is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, little 1,000 square foot thing. If you can picture it, you can picture it. If you can't, I'm sorry. I'm not going to insert a picture just because that's where I live and that would be unsafe. But every house is the same. And we don't have porches, we have stoops. So we have a front stoop and a side stoop, no back stoop, because that would just make sense. Anyway, so the front yard came together really simply. I don't do a ton of landscaping, and the backyard, pretty much the same. I was briefly going to include that tent. I decided it was too big. I knew it would be just because I'm on a 20 by 15 lot and not a 30 by 20, but I wanted a smaller home. This is not a tiny home, by the way. I figured that my use of platforms was going to put it way over the tile count, even if it was under 100 tiles of livable space. So just an FYI on that one, but we are on a smaller lot just because I was picturing a smaller space, and I do end up using the Dream Home Decorator tent. There it is now. Just because I like the idea of tents in the backyard. I really would love like a tree house or an outdoor playhouse or something like that to kind of throw out here. The tents are a great first step, but I want something that looks like it's not going to be ruined by a good rainstorm. That's just me. I don't know. And then you'll notice there are 2 balconies. There's this one here and there's one in the front. I just throw the same combination of plants on both. Neither one of them are accessible. However, if you wanted access to them, all you would have to do is swap out the windows for a door and a window or just a door. I just wasn't going to use the space, and I knew I wasn't going to, so I didn't worry about it. Now moving on to the interior, I jump immediately into the child's room. This is where I felt the most inspiration, so I decided to just go for it rather than wait. I'm not very good at waiting. And I used the Dream Home Decorator bunk bed, the one that kind of looks like a tent canopy. I thought it was the most youthful of the grouping that we got. I threw this desk down here from high school years, and then I just placed a few items. I give her a tablet, there's a radio, a little pencil cup, so that when she sits down to do homework, she has, you know, the things that she needs. Although, to be honest, if she's doing homework, I very much so doubt it's up here by herself. I feel like she would be downstairs with her parents or one or the other, and they would be helping her. But that's just the vibe that I get. So maybe she's up here coloring or journaling or something like that. We place a few posters. I give her the glass chair because that's honestly my favorite chair that we have in game. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And then a little poof to sit on just in case she wants to sit there and listen to music or read. And then I include the, I think it's Camper's Kit, the little Camper's Kit playhouse. That's not a playhouse. I don't really know what that thing is. It operates like a playhouse. I include that. I didn't realize at the time that it's a little too big for the spot and it's clipping through. I do go in and size that down just a little bit using tool, so it's not clipping through the wall in a weird way, but it's still usable. I did play test the build prior to doing the voiceover. I'm on a roll with that one lately, and I actually didn't have to make any changes to this build, which is nice. So she has that play area. I scatter a few other toys around it because I feel like that's a toy box under there, and she's just sort of like covered it with a cloth and made it into this epic like castle thing. That's the vibe I got. And so I just put some more toys just because she can't get to the toy box in my head. Then I give her a dresser. That is my favorite dresser that we got with Parenthood, and I think it works so well with multiple packs, and I can't stop using it, and I'm so sorry if you're sick of seeing it. And a little violin because I feel like this kid is either a social butterfly or she's super creative. That's just, again, the vibe I'm getting. I think I've said that like 10 times. I'm gonna try not to say it again, but I make no promises. Then we move on here into the master bedroom. I was gonna try something fancy, hated it, so we just did a little clip there. And I decided to go with a sort of soft wood-toned purple themed room. Now, purple, I've said this before in a video, purple used to be my favorite color, and I'm having a little bit of an identity crisis when it comes to color because purple just isn't sparking the same amount of joy for me that it used to. I don't know what's up with that, but I'm just like, I'm more so drawn to like blues, yellows, oranges lately, that family, which blue is kind of the outlier there, but like the softer tones, not like the really bright in your face tones and earth tones. That's kind of what I'm drawn to. So I don't know what that's about. Life happens in seasons, so maybe this is just my time to change up my favorite color. I don't know. But I really, despite that, I really, really like this bedroom. It felt like a soft sort of safe oasis for the parents to come and not be away from the child necessarily, but kind of reset and rejuvenate for when they need to be present for her. And I don't know, I really like this space. All of the windows with everything being muted on the interior kind of really makes that the greenery surrounding where they live pop. I just really enjoyed it. And we're just kind of placing the finishing touches on the decor. I didn't want it to be too matchy in here. I wanted it to kind of look like two people share this space. I think I achieved that. Maybe I didn't, but it felt like I did. And then we move on to the hallway. I do leave this hallway in, but I don't leave the downstairs hallway just because it felt a little bit repetitive. So there's a plant, there's some artwork. I do throw the family bulletin board in up here just because it's my favorite in-game object for family play. I'm bummed it doesn't really work with high school years, but since I'm not having a teen in this house, I think it's okay. I'm just a little sad there's not cross gameplay there. And then we have just a little seating area. It could be a reading nook. It's most likely just a little spot for you to sit, look out the window, and like hang out. I don't know why you're hanging out at the top of the stairs, but who am I to judge? You do you, boo. And I placed this throw rug. I don't really love this rug. I think it's too big for the space that I put it in, but it matches. It goes. I don't know. I wanted it to be just a little smaller, but it's fine. I decided to keep it ultimately just because there was nothing else that I liked in that spot. And sometimes you have to make sacrifices. I guess that's the lesson here. Then we move on to the bathroom. This is also the only bathroom I include. The one downstairs is literally exactly the same. I just copied and pasted every single object with the exception of the art. I think I changed up the art, but all of the pieces are the same. The wallpaper, everything is the same. So there was no point in making you watch that twice. I didn't even like doing it twice. So there's that. But it's just a simple standing shower, sink toilet combo. The downstairs one is also a shower. I don't think I include a bathtub. I don't see why I would. I just copied and pasted it. So yeah, that's that. And then down here, there is a reading nook underneath the stairs. Again, I don't know why you're hanging out at the top or the bottom of the stairs, but again, who am I to judge? And then we do the entryway as well and then move on to the office. Now, like I said, I didn't trick out the office and I do change up the wallpaper a little bit. I wanted kind of like that interior wall to be the accent wall and the rest of it to be that neutral. So if you were looking in from the hallway, it would look like it's just a normal room. And then when you're in it, you'd have this kind of wild wallpaper pattern. I end up reducing it just a smidge. So just this sort of wonky, like angled area is wallpapered and the rest of it is a neutral just because I was having a hard time putting up artwork and I felt like I needed something on the walls and not just wallpaper. I have a tendency when the pattern's too busy to not want to hang up artwork or paintings or anything like that because it feels like too much, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that's just my perception and I need to work on that, but that's a different battle for a different day. I placed that little cabinet. It's like a modular piece of furniture. I don't really know what it's for. I think it's just shelving, but I placed that to kind of look like a filing cabinet. So they do some work here, but not a ton. And then I have a gaming pad. Again, I think she's testing games, the other parent, whomever. And so they need some stuff here, but they don't need a ton of activities, if you catch my drift. Then we move on to the living room. This is a slightly different color scheme than the rest of the house, but this whole area, the kitchen, living, dining, is one long space, truly. And I think even though it's a tad bit darker, just because I use those black accent colors, it's a tad bit darker than the rest of the house, I think it still goes with the vibe. I still think it fits in pretty well. Of course, if you don't enjoy it, you can of course change any sort of color swatches that you want to. This just felt the most on brand. That's what I'm going to say. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's where we are. But I went with the black and teal, kind of, I think that's teal. Now I'm second guessing it. Mint green, I don't know. I went with that. And, you know, there's some toys, a basket of blankets in the corner. We've got some clutter under the table. I don't think they're perfectly organized. I think they're definitely like a well lived in kind of space family, but they definitely want it. How many times can I say definitely? They want it to be like maneuverable. They want to be able to sit and be comfortable, but also pull things out when they want to play like a family game or whatever the case may be. I do throw those bookshelves on the wall. Honestly, I don't think any of the bookshelves in this build are accessible. I think you have to just sort of open them and drag things into your Sims inventory. I always forget to playtest the bookshelves, I'm sorry. But this one, if any of them are accessible, it's going to be this one. The one under the stairs won't be. I don't think the one on the countertop is going to be accessible either. Then we have this little hutch because I felt like they needed more storage. I feel like every house always needs more storage, and there's no closets in the Sims, so I get a little nervous. And I'm just adding some more decor, some more clutter up to the top. So we have that little jar of branches. It's my favorite plant. We've got a casserole dish, some cookbooks, a candy jar, because what's a house without a candy or a cookie jar? It's a normal house, but it makes it a little bit more homey. And I think that's the letter writing set. I can't really remember. It just looked kind of cute and it felt like it belonged. The rest of this space is the dining area. Just a simple 6-top cedar thing. I know that there's only 3 Sims in the home, but I feel like they entertain from time to time. Like maybe grandparents come over pretty regularly, or maybe they're still involved with the biological donor dad's life. Maybe he comes over. I don't know. You could really play up that storyline however you wish to. And then, of course, that leads to the backyard there, straight ahead, well, to your right there by the door. And then we move on to the kitchen, and this is the last room that we're going to build. I decided to go with these base game industrial looking counters and cabinets. I felt like they fit the vibe the most. It kind of pulls back in some of those softer wood tones that I kind of strayed away from a little bit with the living room, so I felt like that's what tied it in. And then I was struggling with that wallpaper being what it was, so I changed it to match some of the wallpaper that's on the exterior of the home. I like it. I agree it's a bold choice, and if you hate it, that is totally fine. Feel free to change it if you download this build, or feel free to say it. I was on the fence about it, but in the end I ended up keeping it. And then we're just going to work on cluttering up the kitchen here. So I do include that microwave and I put stuff on top of it, but I only decorate this like corner cabinet countertop piece there to your left. I don't add anything to the third one. I'm having routing issues with countertops. I don't know if it's just me or if it's a universal thing, but it's driving me crazy. And on that note, I'm going to leave you guys here to enjoy the rest of the video and hit the screenshots. As always, feel free to leave a like or a comment down below letting me know what you think. You can also subscribe if that's something that would spark joy for you. I will be posting the screenshots on Instagram as per usual if you want to head over there and check those out. I will see you on Monday and Wednesday next week with 2 videos. They are both part of a collab that I was asked to be a part of, and I am very excited for you to see them. In the meantime, I hope you have a lovely day and a lovely rest of your week. Bye, guys.
I wanna do it all with you by my side. If you're in, meet me here tonight. Be brave and come along. I'll be your ride. Promise we don't need no brake lights. We can travel the world, so just say yes. Choose to do whatever comes next. This or that, getting drunk on whiskey on a Tuesday night, or drinking where I'm by an open fire, make love or fight. This or that. This or that, evenings on the train or catch a morning flight, enjoying dinner until midnight, or bed by night. I wanna see it all. Find the northern lights, see the stars in the open wild, catch a glimpse of Panama. We don't need a map, I'll let you know when we've arrived. Yeah, we can travel the world, so just say